Live.
How do I find it on the thing?
You're live.
Hey guys, I'm live. Welcome to the Flip Flop Power Hour with Robbie Krager, the Flip Flop Flipper. That's a lot of fun to say. So we've been looking for a way to brand this thing, and tonight we're going with the Flip Flop Power Hour. So tell us what you think of that. Leave us a comment about the new name, and hit the like button on the way in if you guys would be so kind. It really helps us. We're getting so close to the 4,000 hour watch time that we need to be monetized. And sooner or later, we're going to be getting that sweet, sweet ad revenue. And we might even be making $8 or $9 an hour. Oh my God, we can't wait. Normally, we would have a guest here tonight, but we had a scheduling mix up. So Don and I thought, you know what? The show must go on. And we get a lot of questions that are asked often. So I just thought we'll take the next hour or so, 45 minutes or an hour or so, and we'll answer any questions that you guys have. So as soon as you pop in here, start asking some questions. I'll do my best to answer the questions as I go. Sorry. We have 10 people on, man. That's so amazing. If you guys, if we could get 10 likes really quick, if you're watching us, hit the like button. We'll know that you did it because there's 10 of you watching, and we'll get 10 likes. So if you have questions, throw them in the chat. Don will scream them out. As you notice, I'm not in the studio that we've been using for the last month. We're in my living room. This sort of sucks. I'm going to be honest. I'm on an uncomfortable couch, and the microphone's in an odd spot. My cat is over my left shoulder. He's liable to come over here any moment now. And Baxter, the dog, likes to crash everything any chance he gets. So he's off in the bedroom. Hopefully we'll keep him locked up. So as you guys are thinking about your questions, I'll tell you one question that we get really often. It has to do with Act 60. And the question is Act 60 available for the local population, for the Puerto Rican people? And so we try to answer this often on this channel. We try to get this information out there that, yes, indeed, Act 60 is for the local population. And I will go through the parts of Act 60 as best I can, and I'm not an expert, so I'm not a member of Act 60. At least I don't use Act 60 in most of these, except for one portion, and I'll talk about that as well. But Act 60 is available to people who are in the mainland, and it's available to people who are on the island. And the portions of Act 60 that I'm aware of that are available to the local population, to Puerto Ricans, is the Young Entrepreneurs Act, which is a brilliant way to start a business. So if you are a young person, young entrepreneurs, 35 years, young or younger, you qualify. Now, there are some carve-outs. It has to be certain kinds of businesses, or at least there will be some kind of businesses that don't qualify. So you'll have to get with your counsel and figure out if the business that you're trying to start will qualify for the Young Entrepreneurs Act. But that is available to anybody who's on the island, whether you're stateside people who have moved here, or if you've grown up here and you've been here your whole life and you're looking to start a business. So you are younger than 35, and by definition, you're a young entrepreneur if you're younger than 35. Unfortunately for me, I just missed it. That allows for, guys, and this is amazing, for someone to start a new business today and over the next 3 years make $500,000 without paying any tax. So if you start a business and you do really well and you make $500,000 in that first year, you pay no tax. And then the next year you'll start to pay the tax. So, but still, that's so powerful. I mean, taxes as entrepreneurs, let me tell you, taxes are going to be your biggest expense throughout the rest of your career. So if you have multiple businesses like I do, and you own multiple properties like many real estate, Jeez Louise, couldn't get that out. Many real estate investors do. You're going to pay a lot in taxes, but if you're buying and selling real estate, or if you're renting cars, or you start any business that you want, you've got some business manufacturing something, and you can make the first $500,000 to jumpstart your business without paying any tax at all. That is something that is truly special to this island, and it gives a leg up and a great way to start for anybody who is young. So young entrepreneurs, available to local population, available to the Puerto Rican population. Another part of Act 60 that is available to the local Puerto Rican population, whether you've lived here your whole life, whether you moved away for some time and you're moving back to the island, it doesn't matter. It applies for you. Export services. It's formerly Act 20. It's now called export services. Export services means exactly what it says. You have a business that does things outside of Puerto Rico. Either you manufacture goods here and you send them out, so you're exporting, or you could have a management business back in the States that you're running from here, so you're exporting your management business to the States. So export services is a great way to start a business, and you should talk about this with your representation. Sorry, I'm struggling early on in this live here with my words, but everybody should know that Robbie Krager, the Flip-Flop Flipper, is no expert in this. So I said this just a minute ago. I'm not a part of these acts. I'm just telling you what I've heard and what I think I know. You ought to, and you will need to have representation. So you'll need to talk to an attorney to help you set up these corporations, whether you're a young entrepreneur or you're going to do export services. But I believe you could stack it. Like, I think you could have export services and be young entrepreneurs. I certainly think you could do both. So you could have one export service business and another business that's young entrepreneurs. But again, check with your legal counsel and make sure that what I'm saying is correct. And if you know and I'm not right, put it in the chat. I don't mean to be wrong, and I don't want to give bad information, but I would like to know if somebody's out there is watching this. If you are a young entrepreneur and you have the information, let us know. Let's talk about it. I mean, we're just here to get the information out. Unfortunately, what I think happens in Puerto Rico is the government just does a really piss poor job of letting the total population know what Act 60 is for and who it's available to and who can use it. So we're trying to get that information out here right now. I've just gone through 2 ways that you can use Act 60, whether you're local population or not. The third one that I'm really aware of is that you can use the tourism section of Act 60. So we invest heavily in tourism, and we use Act 60 tourism to get 40% tax credits back on our development of hotels or any other business that is around hospitality. And so that can be what we physically we invest in value add properties where we're taking something that has been sitting vacant for years and years and turning it into a guest house or a bed and breakfast or a hotel. You could also do transportation companies through tourism. I believe you could do rental cars through tourism. I believe you can certainly take people on tours around the island. I think all of these are tourism businesses. I have a friend who has a beautiful 40-foot sailing yacht, and they take people out on tours, and that's a tourism business, and there are tax credits for that. So again, these are businesses that anybody can do and that they are available to start and can be invested in and run and owned and operated by local Puerto Rican population. So if you think that Act 60 is not for you because you grew up in Puerto Rico and you've heard that it's just not true. It's bad information. It's a really poor job, again, that the government does about letting people know who is available, who this stuff is allowed to be a part of this. And most of it is for the local population. There is one carve out, and we'll get to that in just 1 second, because many of you will be blowing up the chats later on saying, oh no, we've heard that we can't do this. And it's true. There is one poorly written piece of the Act 60 law that does prohibit people who have been on island for the last 10 years. So if you moved away 10 years ago and you want to move back, then you can be a Puerto Rican or an expat. If you have lived here your whole life and never went away, then what is formerly called Act 22 and is now the personal capital gains part of Act 60, you don't qualify for it. I believe that that's a shame. I think that could be written better, and that it could include local population Puerto Ricans that get their money through capital gains. But currently, the way that it's written, and I take abuse for it every day, and the whole of Act 60 gets a black eye because they've done a poor job of explaining this stuff and letting people know that most of Act 60 is available to everybody. But Act 22, you guys have heard this before. It's not available to the local population, and hopefully that can be changed. Do we have some questions, Adon?
Yes.
Adon says we have some questions. What do we got? Let me see. Do you have to make a down payment when you cash out refinance? So typically, no. I mean, if you're doing a cash out refinance, you've already made your down payment, right? So you already own the property, you've seasoned it for some time, and now you go back to the bank and you're doing a cash out refinance. And no, you wouldn't have to then put additional dollars down. And again, so just like in the question before when we were talking about Act 60 and I said get representation, talk to a good mortgage broker and talk to them about this stuff. This isn't my business. I don't service mortgages or write mortgage loans and things like that, but I believe that if you are doing a cash out refi, you are not required to put a down payment. I'm doing a B&B in Luquillo. John Ron's doing a B&B in Luquillo. So a bed and breakfast in Luquillo. If it's a bed and breakfast that has 3 to 5 rooms, that would qualify for Act 60. So great if you're doing that. And I hope that if you are in that 3 to 5 room range on a bed and breakfast, that before you purchase the property, you need to talk to the tourism company and invite them out to see your project, get the kind of thumbs up, the green light, and set that up ahead of time. So all of this Act 60 stuff is predicated on setting the stuff up ahead of time. And if you're doing the B&B, the bed and breakfast, and it's 3 to 5 rooms, it'll qualify for Act 60. You can get 40% tax credits on your entire development, from purchase price through renovations, through first year operations, first year marketing. All of that stuff puts in a bucket, and over about a 4-year period of time, you can get 40% tax credits back. 5 bedrooms. So yeah, 5 bedrooms. John, if you have not closed on the property yet, I advise you to call the tourism company. Probably talk to Hector if you can get a hold of him. He owns it outright already. So you can still qualify for Act 60. If it's never been a bed and breakfast before and you've never gone through the tourism stuff, but you won't get credit for your purchase price. So that's a bit of a bummer, depending on what you paid to acquire the property and how long ago that was. But talk to them. They're really great. So the tourism company on the island of Puerto Rico is just quite simply the best government agency that I've ever dealt with. They really want to find a way to fit things into their program and create more beds on the island, right? So here's why. Puerto Rico has never been a tourism-driven economy. Only about 6% of the GDP for the entire island historically is from tourism. Now, there is a decided effort to grow that from 6 to 15%. So they want to grow it more than double. 12 would be double. They're at 15. So we're talking about 2.5 times what it is currently. And they want more beds. They want more hotels. They want more guest house. They want more bed and breakfast. What they don't want, they don't really want more Airbnbs. That doesn't qualify for Act 60 tourism tax credits. So let's be clear. Airbnb is an exclusion from Act 60 tourism tax credits. You need to have, the smallest thing that I'm aware of would be this bed and breakfast that John's talking about, this 5-room bed and breakfast. The next level would be a guest house, which is 7 rentable rooms up to 25. And guys, verify all of this. So that would be a guest house. And then the next level would be past 25 rooms would be a hotel. So 26 rooms and above would be considered a hotel. And there's different requirements inside of Act 60 for each of these. So you'll need to read this and talk to your whoever's guiding you. You want to set all of this stuff up ahead of time. But for a bed and breakfast, I know that requires, John, that somebody's going to live on the property and run it as a bed and breakfast. And so actually get up every morning and feed people breakfast. That's the thing. Any more questions, guys? Give us some more questions. I love the interaction so far. This is great. Here we go. I build new in Philadelphia and would love to go back home and be along someone like you. Real estate here is booming, so I'll have to stick tight for a bit. Al, thanks. Well, that's great, man. So you're from the island, I assume, and would love to come back to your island. So that's what our channel is about, right? We're trying to invite people to Puerto Rico. We're trying to let the local population know about opportunities that are going on island-wide. We're trying to let people in the States learn about what's happening in Puerto Rico. And one of the biggest things that we strive to do is to encourage people who left the island because for a decade, there was really very little or no opportunity here for young people. And so a lot of people left the island, went to the States, and they, quite frankly, they had to. Well, so since Maria, we believe that that has changed. And we finally, after over a 10-year period of time, have come out of that horrible recession that Puerto Rico has been in. And you guys have probably heard that Puerto Rico has come out of the bankruptcy. We have jobs for people who want jobs. There's opportunity for anybody. I mean, doctors and lawyers and just you name it across the board. Puerto Rico is really moving in the right direction. We have a positive growth with the population for the first time in a long, long time. That happened with the last census. And we have a positive economic growth for the first time in 2019. It was over a decade since they had a positive economic growth on the island. So amazing there. I got another question. Thank you. You're helping convince my wife. That's awesome. Okay. Any more questions? Robert, any tips when looking at distressed properties in Puerto Rico? Top 3 things to look for. Okay, Manzo, let's see. So we're value add investors, and thank you for asking the question. This is what we look for, right? So we're looking for what is its current use? What kind of revenue will it make at its current use, or is it bringing in? And then what's its highest and best use? What would we be able to develop it into? And so we're often finding vacant buildings. We think that buying vacant things is a great way that we can come in and increase value. Vacant, and then I would add distressed. We like to buy vacant distressed properties because we know that when we buy these vacant and distressed properties outside of anything else, like if comps say one thing, like what would a house sell for? We may not be able to determine that very easily in Puerto Rico, the same that we can in the States, but I know for sure that if I buy it and it needs work and I start spending money on it and fixing it up, that I'm increasing the value. This is just common sense, right? So if I can buy something at a low price because it's very distressed and it's vacant and it's not making any money, and I can put some money into it and I can bring it up to where, let's say it's a house, and then we could sell it then to an FHA buyer. So now I've taken a property that couldn't be lived in, that's just sitting there vacant and not really doing any good for anybody. We bring it up to an FHA level, which means that somebody from the island could go get a loan from the bank, move their family into it, and solve their housing problem. And there's a housing shortage here. So we love to do this value add investment stuff on vacant, distressed properties. So that's something that I look for. The third thing, and I talked about it, is that we look for use changes. We're always trying to determine what's the highest and best use for a property. And so a vacant, distressed office building that no one's used as an office for 15 years might be better off as a fully renovated and nice apartment for someone to live in, like the apartment that I'm in here now. So I don't know how much of it you can see, but when we bought this at an auction years ago, we bought it for a very low number because it had been distressed office space sitting here. Nobody was using it for well over 10 years. And my wife designed it out. We made it look beautiful. We're now living here, right? So that's the kind of value add. This thing went for us from something that we bought for not very much money. It didn't have a lot of value to anybody. We made it look really nice, and now it's made a very nice home for us, at least temporarily, while we try and find the next place for us to land. Any tips when looking at distressed properties? Nope. How do you start? Do you need big capital? I'm here from Puerto Rico and love what you do, and I've been trying to learn. Is it Gene Acosta? Thank you, Gene, for the question. How do you start? You start by starting, and I know that's not a great answer. But no, I'll take a better stab at that. If I'm starting out and I've never bought a piece of real estate before, and this is something that interests me, I started out years ago. My daughter wouldn't sleep. She was 1 or 2 years old, and the only way we could get her to sleep was by putting her in a car seat and driving around. And so while I was driving around, I started calling on all of the houses that were for sale. And I was very young at the time. I just did it because I was already driving around, and it gave me a really solid base of knowledge in the area where I lived. I knew exactly what was for sale, how long it had been for sale for, what they were asking for it. So I gathered all of this knowledge just because that was the only way we could put my daughter to sleep for like 2.5 years. So that's a good place to start. I think looking at everything that's for sale in your neighborhood, calling the realtor and talking to them about it. Why is it for sale for this price? How much work does it need? Who do they expect is going to buy it? Who is their market, right? So if it's a vacant office, they're trying to sell it as an office. And then once you've started to do that, you can start to think through what's a better, highest, and best use. What if I drove around and I looked at 25 things in my neighborhood, Gene, and I learned about them over the next 2 or 3 months, there's going to be 1 or 2 that really stick out. And they're going to be priced differently. They're going to need more work. And those are the 2 that I would really concentrate on, and I would dig deeper into and try and figure out, what could I do with this? How could I buy it at a price that I could then do something to it and increase the value and make some money, and possibly bring a partner in, or find the money to do it yourself, or contract it and wholesale it. There are so many things that you can do to start out with not a lot of money in real estate. And the first step, starting out, go look at everything that you can see.
And Gene, I would add to that is the YouTube channel that we have built is a great resource for all that stuff. So you can find how to wholesale deals, how to structure deals, how to present the wholesale deal to potential partners. So definitely look at the resources we have on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, you've got to go to YouTube to find the content. So if you're watching us on Facebook or you're on Instagram, you'll need to click over to the YouTube and find the Flip Flop Flipper. We've got a ton of content out there about starting out, and yeah, like Adon said, presenting wholesale deals. We talk a lot about opportunity zones. We give a lot of examples of value add investing. So there's just a lot of content there, and we would really love to have you become part of our community there. Hey, Glenn. So Glenn's interested in Puerto Rico, but he's not sure to take a loan out there, or for a second home, or to bring some cash and partner with investors. So Glenn, it's harder probably to get a loan here in Puerto Rico than it is to get a loan back home. Although if you are well qualified and you're coming here to buy a second home, it can be done. Those more typical loans for homeownership are readily available. So if you're a first-time home buyer, or if it's a second home, or if it's an investment property and you've got great credit and a proper down payment, you can get those loans done. Adon's got something for sale right now in an area that would qualify for a loan and could be a second home for someone, could be rented out, could pay for itself. It makes a great house hack. So we can put an attachment after this live is over to that, so that you guys can see that. So I would suggest maybe both, Glenn. So maybe it's easier for you to pull out some money on some stuff that's stateside. That's what we've done. We either liquidated property in the States in order to bring capital to the island, or we borrowed against property in the States and then brought capital to the island. Right now on the island, our investment portfolio doesn't have a lot of debt. We've got something that we're going to close on in a couple of weeks where we're getting a hard money loan, and that would be the only thing that we've borrowed on. That will be the only debt we have on this island, right? We did for a little while have the Looking Glass Hotel. We had a hard money loan on that, and then we flipped that property to Jerry Norton, and he paid off our debt. So we no longer have that debt. So debt is still coming to the island, and we're going to have longer conversation about that very soon. I was reaching out today to some people that are in the space to get them to come on and talk to us on the Monday night Flip Flop Flipper Power Hour. Trying to remember the name. The Flip Flop Power Hour. Hey, tell me if you like that name. Do you like the Flip Flop Power Hour? Give me a like, you guys. I don't know how many people are watching right now, but we need a bunch of likes on this video. We would love to have it shared around, share it everywhere. Let's see. What's the first step to get a loan? Does it have to be a cash buyer for a property in Puerto Rico? What is the first step to get a loan, or do you have to pay cash? So you don't have to pay cash, depending on what you're looking at, right? So the type of investing that we do, I would say you're paying cash for. So we're, again, value add investors, and we like to buy vacant, distressed properties. Vacant, distressed properties are never, repeat, they are never the favorite property type for bankers and banks, right? So they don't want to lend on those distressed assets. So what we do is we come in and we pay cash for them, and then we use more cash to fix things up, get it rented, have some cash flow coming in, and then we would take it to the bank and do the cash out refi like someone asked about earlier, right? So we think on the island that is very viable, particularly in a non-commercial way. So if you're buying a single family to a 4-family house, so 1, 2, 3, or 4 family homes, if you buy something distressed, you fix it up, get it rented out, get that income coming in, you can fairly easily, we believe, pull that money out. So again, we don't borrow a lot of money and we don't have a lot of debt on the island, but I do believe that type of loan is readily available on the island. So we have another question here. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone, but we're set up. We're not in our studio. For a while there, we had a really cool studio upstairs and was very comfortable, and I liked it. Right now, we're cramped in my living room here, and I don't have a monitor in front of me, so I have to use the phone. So, Jose Ramos, following the content, thank you very much for following us. I'm a local resident. I've been buying properties over the last year with a lot of sacrifice and being consistent with saving and investing. Amazing, man. That's going to pay off for you. I encourage people who are thinking about buying properties and investing in real estate in Puerto Rico. If you're looking at something to buy, if you're looking at a partnership to do it, man. We're in a rocket ship economy here in Puerto Rico. We have seen massive improvements over the last 5 years since Maria, and it looks like it should continue for the next 5 or 10 years. And so I think now is a great time to be investing in the island. And I'm so glad for you and happy for you. Is there another question? Yenko, I hope I say the name right. I got some property for sale in Calle near Caguas. It's a really nice home. It's a really nice income making property. Nice. If you shoot us an email at flipflopflipperpr@gmail.com, we would love to talk to you about your property. If it's something that we can buy or partner on, we might be interested in that, or we might just be able to help you find someone else in the community to buy it. So anytime that we can hear about other people's real estate investment portfolio, guys, we love to talk about this stuff. That's just what kind of gets me out of bed in the morning. So I appreciate that. And I hope that we can get an email from you and talk further. What about VA loans? And I have excellent credit and purchased our home with a VA loan, 0 down. Ivalis, amazing. Yeah. So VA loans are great. So there's FHA loans and VA loans. VA loans are probably like the Cadillac of first-time home buying loans, right? So you're not going to go buy the $40 million house in Dorado with a VA loan, but if you're buying a house like most of us do, moderately priced house up to, and I don't know what the criteria is here on the island, but I think it's probably up to $400,000 or $500,000. So you can get into these loans with even sometimes zero money out of pocket. So the VA loan is something that I don't know if I guess you'd call it like a reward for your service. And thank you. If you're qualified for a VA loan, that means you were in the services. So I just want to thank you for that. I love to do business with people from that are veterans. My father was a veteran, so that's awesome. And yeah, VA loans are a great way to go if you can qualify. They're typically low interest rate, fixed low interest rate, so they're excellent loans, and you can get in with very low money out of pocket. Next question. We got another question. Don's got it up. Do you have your own contractor teams to rehab? I've heard work ethic and honesty with contractors on the island isn't the best. Ash. So we do have crews that we use again and again on the island. We're very fortunate that when we were in Orlando the last year or so that we were doing renovations back in Florida, Luis Martinez was from Puerto Rico and he was running everything for us. And so when we came here, he sort of came with us, and he has been an integral part of our business from really day one. I think we were here a few months before I called him in Orlando and I said, Luis, you've got to come home to your island. And he did. And he is a great contractor. He honest with everything, and he just gets the job done. And so we're very blessed. Yes, we have our own crews. So Luis handles really that side of the business. And so that's a true blessing for us. And that's one of the things that we're proud of. We've done over 100 projects on the island, and there hasn't been one time that we're not partnering with locals across the board, like from closing it with the notary as a local to if we've borrowed money when we have, and it's been rare, but we have borrowed money a couple times from local investors here on the island. We've got local contractors. We have locals who run our projects and manage our projects or manage our properties. So we have just a great team that we've expanded through partnerships, and that's sort of key to our business. So I have another question. How's it been dealing with banks for cash out refi? I've seen it done through FHA only, and are there other options? Yeah. So again, back to the thing that we don't really borrow a lot of money. A couple of years ago, I think right before the pandemic, I tried to do a cash out refi. So this was pretty early on. We had some properties that were cash flowing and doing really well, and we tried to do the cash out refi. It didn't work for us. I think it would work now. It was supposed to be a low LTV loan, and it was going to be quick and easy. And a year later, we couldn't get it done. We went through a couple of appraisals and a full doc loan, and we still didn't ever get it done. So we're probably going to make another run at pulling out some money from our cash flowing properties over the next 6 months or so. And we think that we've got a much better chance to do it now than we did before. So yeah. What do we got? Where do you find the foreclosure list for properties in Puerto Rico? And how do you find the list of properties considered a public distressed property? Where do I find catastro numbers for such properties? Velez. So the foreclosure list, if you go to the courthouse, they'll actually have a picture of it. Don, you've been working on this with Roberto Segui, and it's not hard to find the list, right? But you have to go down there and get the list all the time, right? So it changes. Probably changes weekly, but it definitely changes monthly. And so you have to go into the courthouse. And so that's not as easy as it sounds, right? So there's a courthouse in San Juan. There's one in Carolina. There's one in every municipality probably on the island. I think there's 72 different municipalities. So foreclosure lists are at the foreclosure sale, which is at the courthouse in these municipalities. And you can go to the different courthouses and find the list. The Republico... The public distressed houses. So again, that's each municipality, and there's some realtors who have that list. I will tell you with this list, and I'm going to talk about this because I've a half a dozen times tried to buy these distressed properties. They're definitely what we look for, right? They're vacant. They're really distressed. They don't qualify for bank loans. And we've tried a half a dozen times to buy them throughout several different municipalities, and it just hasn't worked out for us. So be careful with that. I hope that they fix this system and that they can get these properties out of the condition that they're in. but we've been here for 5 years and we've never been successful in 5 years buying it. Now, granted, I got frustrated and I only tried the half a dozen times or so, and then I sort of moved on from that. Catastro numbers. Adon, do you have an answer for the Catastro number?
Yes, if you're gonna try to find the Catastro numbers, you want to go to the Cream website. I'll put a link in the descriptions once this live is over, and you'll be able to find a link to all the videos that we're talking about that can help you build on wholesale and how to present deals. Also, we'll try to put the links for the Cream website and any other resources that we can there.
Nice. See, that's the power of having a great team. Like, I had no idea where you could get a Catastro number. And even if I knew, I wouldn't have been able to tell you where it was. So thank you a ton for that. Is there a time restriction on selling a house after buying with a VA loan? Carlos, I think that they probably have some rules that when you're getting a VA loan, you're supposed to live there, but I'm not aware of any reason that you wouldn't be able to sell the property right away. Like, you buy it, you move into it, and then your job changes and now you're going to move out of state, or you're going to move off island. So you need to sell. I don't think that there's any requirement that you would have to hold on to the property for any certain amount of time. But again, talk to your mortgage broker about that. Know what you're getting into. Be sure that when you're getting that VA loan that you don't have some of these requirements. I don't think that there are any requirements for you to keep the properties. I know that there's probably a requirement that you intend to live in the property. So, and intent, it is another thing. You could buy something intending to live in it, and then you get called away and you never live in it. Again, I don't think you get in trouble for that if you have to sell it, and I don't think there's a time limit that you have to keep it. Man, I love it that there's so many questions, guys. This is awesome. And I hope that you're getting some value out of this. I will do my best to answer all of your questions. And again, this is one guy's opinion. So anything that you hear me say, verify it. If you hear me say something that you think is wrong, put it in the chat and we can talk about it. I don't mind being wrong. I don't tell you that I know everything. I've been a real estate investor for over 25 years and I've done quite a few things, but some of these questions are great. And if we don't know the answers, we'll try and get them together and we'll bring it to you on a different chat. So if you would give us a thumbs up, we'd appreciate it. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not a member of the community, if you haven't gone on YouTube and clicked on the Flip Flop Flipper and joined, we would love for you to hit the subscribe button, guys. This is awesome. And I think we've got some more questions. So let's see. Any more questions, Don? Yeah, here we go. Someone's selling, Yvette is selling 46 acres with a house. A river passes through the property in the west of Isla San Sebastian, and she's looking for a buyer. So, wow, that sounds like an amazing property. 45 acres on a river with a house. Yeah. Can we come see it? Don and I want to go see it. I can't promise you that we could buy something like that, but man, that just sounds like a great place. I'd love to come and see your property, let you tell us the story, and maybe we could put a video out there on YouTube and help you sell it, where we would just be in love with coming to do that. So how much are you asking for the property, Yvette? And Don says, if you'll email me the information, that would be great too. So you can email me at the flipflopflipper.pr@gmail.com, the flipflopflipper.pr@gmail.com, and we will try and set something up. Maybe we can come see your property. I have a house for sale in Caguas in the mountains with land with development potential. This is Ana Santiago. Man, I'm so digging this stuff. I love the mountains of Caguas too. I got my dog Baxter there in the mountains. We did a flip one time that was up in the mountains. We bought it at an auction at a really good price, and I thought it wouldn't sell for much. It was the fastest selling flip we've ever done. It had some really cool views, and it was just a little 2-family house that we put about 75 or 80 grand in and sold it for 125 grand, but it went so quick and went so easy and well. I just love Caguas. Caguas is a really great town. So Again, the same thing that I said to the last comment. If you'll email us at the flipflapflipperpr@gmail.com, we would love to talk more about what you've got, possibly come see it. If you invite us to do something, we might be able to do a YouTube video. So yeah. Do we have any more questions? With Act 74, there are a bunch of hospitality projects in the pipeline over the next 18 months. Do you worry about an oversupply or a lot of Airbnbs struggling right now? Well, so the GDP of the island for tourism it's only 6% of the GDP, and what they expect it to raise to over the next 5 to 10 years is 15%, so 2.5 times the amount that it currently is. The amount of hotel rooms that they have on the island currently, they want to triple or quadruple. So and so that's what the island of Puerto Rico has sort of identified as a growth area. So that's why we like investing in hospitality, is because if you compare Puerto Rico to some of the other Caribbean islands, the tourism part of the economy is very, very low. Typically, if you go to any other island in the Caribbean, the greatest part of their economy by far will be tourism. And that is a pretty safe thing to say across the board. Like if you go to the Dominican Republic, they've got 3 or 4 times the amount of hotel rooms that we have here in Puerto Rico. If you go to the Bahamas, it's the same thing. If you go to Jamaica or Antigua, it's the same thing. I mean, the economy is really based on tourism. I don't think that we're ever going to get there in Puerto Rico, where the majority of the economy is based around tourism. And I think that's a really good thing for the island. It's a healthy thing that we are manufacturing stuff and that we build stuff and that we export stuff. That's awesome for Puerto Rico. But the fact that they wanted 2.5 times that portion of the economy and that they're willing to give tax credits in order to get it done is the reason that we are heavily invested in tourism. So I really, honestly, guys, I didn't come to Puerto Rico thinking that we were going to buy a guest house or that we were going to have hotels. There wasn't such a thing as an opportunity zone before I got here. But once we got here, and with what's going on the island, it became apparent that this is just a great way to invest. So yeah, I do think that it feels like we're getting a lot of hotel rooms right now, or there are a lot of projects out there, but I think there's still room. And again, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, the market will let us know, and then things will slow down on that side. So that's my cat. He snores a little bit. There's Manjay. Hey, buddy.
So this is a tough question.
We got a tough question. Adon says we have a tough question. Which one? What is stopping the owner of a property from kicking me out of the property after I remodel it for Airbnb in an arbitrage deal? And then it stays with the value that I've added. How do I protect myself from this? So that's a really great question. And guys, if you're going to do Airbnb arbitrage, which I think it's a brilliant way to invest in real estate for not a lot of money, but it is definitely a concern. And I have actually seen what this person is, sorry, let me see, Alejandro. I've actually seen what Alejandro is talking about, where someone comes in and they have a great idea to put something into a better condition and put it on Airbnb. And then as quickly as they get it done, the sellers or the landlords find a way out of the deal and just take the property and take all of the value add. It has happened to some friends of mine where they invested into people's properties and they didn't have good contracts, and their time was maybe shorter than they should have had, and they just expected that because things were going well that the landlord would automatically renew, and the landlords didn't renew, right? They looked at it and they said, oh, you're doing great on Airbnb and you're making all that money and you made my place look better. I'm just going to, at the end of your lease, let you go. And that, unfortunately, is their right. So if you're going to invest in Airbnb arbitrage and you're going to significantly improve someone else's real estate, you need to have a good contract. You need to make sure that you set the time long enough that you can recoup your investment. So you want to do this stuff going in. And it's tricky, guys. Like, you don't know. It could be scary. You don't know that it's going to work until you do it. So you need to have a good business model, a good plan. And I would say you have to have a solid contract. Like, that's absolutely vital to that type of investment. You need to have a long enough window, so a long enough contract that you're going to be able to recoup your investment. And you need to make sure that on the contract, maybe you even have some extensions that are built in. So you do, I would think if you're going to do an Airbnb or arbitrage, I wouldn't do it for less than 3 years. And I'd probably, if I felt really strong about the property, I'd want to have a 5-year contract. So I knew that for the next 5 years, I'm going to be able to collect my Airbnb rents as I should be able to, because I've significantly improved someone else's property. And then I might even start to think about, give me a built-in extension if I want it. So if I'm the renter, I tell the landlord, this is a 5-year lease, but I want an extension for another 5 years if we can negotiate it up front. So that extension would be something that you could execute if things are going well, but you wouldn't have to execute if they weren't going well. I hope that helps. Is there next? McKenna. This is like a radio talk show. Maybe you should have a prepared segment where people can have pitches. Well, that's a good idea. McKenna is my son, so he's maybe he's got something he wants to pitch. I've invited him to come on, but he won't ever come on. So what am I looking at? Glenn, how can I purchase in an opportunity zone, and what are the steps? Awesome, Glenn. That was one of the questions that when I started the live, I had written in case nobody had questions to ask of us. Opportunity zones was one that I was going to talk about. So if you want to know about opportunity zones, we've got a lot of content about opportunity zones on the YouTube channel. So please go look in there. We've got playlists about it, and you can get a bunch of information on that. The YouTube channel is the Flip Flop Flipper on YouTube. We're easy to find. And we've got a ton of content out there. If you're not already a member or not already subscribed, please go over there and subscribe. Hey, I'm going to ask again for you guys to give me a thumbs up. I do this because it helps with the algorithm, and we feel like we're giving value. And this is something that you can do to help us out. We really appreciate it if you'll give us that like, that thumbs up, and to share the content. About opportunity zones. Anything that you're going to do where you're investing in an opportunity zone, make sure that you set everything up properly ahead of time. So it is not true that just because something is in an opportunity zone, you automatically qualify and you automatically aren't going to pay taxes after 10 years and you automatically defer. None of this stuff is automatic. You must identify that you're going to put your money in. You have 180 days from the time that you have a capital gains event to put your money into an opportunity zone fund. Now, that can be your fund that you self-direct, or it could be someone else's fund. So for instance, we have Island Paradise Opportunity Zone Fund, and we can take your funds into that, and then it gets invested into a qualified opportunity zone business. It's not super easy. It's complicated, guys. So it's more complicated than perhaps I can go over in a very short period of time, but we do have a lot of content on the main channel, on the Flip Flop Flipper on YouTube, and we've got playlists. In fact, we've got the man who I think is the greatest brain on all things opportunity zones. We've had him on the channel many times. Ashley Tyson, he's our partner in our Island Paradise Fund, and you can find him on the channel. He does a great job of explaining what opportunity zones are and why you should think about investing in them. I love the question because I love investing in opportunity zones. We have a very short window that we can invest this way. It's only through 2026 unless they extend the legislature. So you want to think about this stuff. If you're creating capital gains and maybe you were thinking about doing a 1031 exchange, or if you have a self-directed IRA and you you have a gain somewhere. Maybe next time, instead of putting it in an IRA, you want to put it into an opportunity zone fund. There are reasons that it's the greatest wealth builder of our lifetime, guys. So just go in, look at all that content, and we'll go from there.
While he reads out the next question, we have about 5 more minutes before we have a hard out because we have a meeting right after this.
Oh.
So get your questions in the next 5 minutes. If not, we're going to try to do this every Monday. Get you guys to get your questions and get us excited.
Yeah, I hope you guys have gotten value out of this.
And
I really don't want to leave in 5 minutes, but I got one more question here.
Who are you talking to tomorrow, by the way?
Who am I
talking to? Somebody, right?
Tomorrow we're going to do another live. Tonight was supposed to be with Edgardo Joy. I did a bad job of scheduling it, so I'll take the blame on that. But he's available tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, 3:00, I think we're going to do another live with Edgardo Joy. And we are going to talk. He's a local investor. He's out there doing great things. And actually, he's investing through Act 60 tourism tax credits, and we're going to just go through his project, how he raised the money for it, and he used all locals, guys. It's really a great story, so I hope you'll tune in for that. Here I have another question. What recommendations would you have for finding good contractors on the island for a new investor, and also tactics for managing the PR workers? Yeah, so what recommendations, and this isn't new to Puerto Rico. So as a real estate investor, if you're going to be hiring contractors on the regular basis, it's almost a third of your business. So when you're starting out, I've always said it like this for 25 years. The most important thing that you can do when you're a real estate investor is buy something right. Once you've bought it, the most important thing that you can do is renovate it well. And once you've renovated it really well, the most important thing that you can do in your business is to sell it quickly. So these are 3 things that are the most important part of your business, and they come at different times. And it's the way that I have run my business. You always want to buy things well, and it absolutely starts with that. And then you have to have a handle on renovating things. So renovations will be just key. How do you manage it? You show up. You show up often. You show up always. You show up impromptu. You show up when you're not supposed to show up, and you show up when you're supposed to show up. You surprise them, and you tell them you're coming even when you're not coming, and you just keep going and going and going. And guys, if you're in this business, you're going to get contractors that give you their very best work and their very best price on the first deal that you've got. And if they stay with you for 3 or 4 years, it's very likely that at some point towards the end of your relationship with them, their work is going to have gone to shit and their prices are going to have gone through the roof. Because if you're doing well on the real estate investment side of things, they think of you as a rich person. This has happened, I'm telling you guys, time and time again. So it's going to be a constant battle. If you can somehow find a family member that can do the job, maybe you could fix it that way. But it's a struggle even for us, and we've been doing this for 25 years. We are constantly looking for good workers and for people to come in and do things at a price that we can afford to pay a fair wage and still make a profit. So, hey guys, we're coming to the end of our live here. We have this hard stop, as Adon said, and wow, this has been fun for me. The amount of questions that you guys brought was amazing. I love what just happened tonight, and I hope that we can do it again, and that you will show up again and again and again, and that we can just keep giving you value. Give us the like, give us a comment if you're on your way out. Tell us what you thought of today's talk. Oh, do I have another question? Any practical advice for a college student that wants to invest in real estate in Puerto Rico? And if so, what would you recommend? Okay, Joe. If you can invest as a college student in real estate, you're going to be far ahead of all of the other kids who are in college with you. So what's my advice? Get started. Let's go. If you're thinking about it, you've got the right mindset. You want to be an entrepreneur. I love it. there's tons of content on our channel about this. Hit me up, send me an email, Joe. I'd be happy to talk to you about this. That's the kind of thing that we get excited about. We like to hear about young people that want to be entrepreneurs. It's why we do it, right? Like I'm 52 years old and I've been doing this a long time. And when I was younger, there were older people that were helping me out. And so we're trying to give back. So the flipflopflipperpr@gmail.com. You can send me an email, Joe, and we can talk offline. And yeah, don't not do it. Start. Let's do it. Become a real estate investor, even in your freshman year. I highly advise it. It'll be the best thing you did during college. So guys, thank you so much for watching. We've got a hard stop, unfortunately, because I could have kept going for another hour. I was really enjoying this. This has been awesome. Thank you guys so much for the great questions. And we will see you next week on the Monday Live, which we're now calling the Flip Flop Power Hour. And again, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think of the Flip Flop Power Hour as our new name for the Monday Night Live. And thank you guys again. God bless you. And we will see you all on the next one. Tune in tomorrow for Edgardo Joy.
Guys, and you have any questions or want any information or want to know about the deals we're currently doing, please send us an email at the Flip Flop Flipper in regards to what information you would like. And we'll
it's the
see you tomorrow.
flipflopflipperpr@gmail.com.
Yep. It's on the screen.
It's on the screen.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a great night.
Good night.